Hello, fans of all ages. Welcome to yet another episode of this show. We got a lot of football playoff races heating up, so we're going to get into that in just a moment. We have some more baseball news involving the Yankees and a lot of free agents and a lot of trades and all that good stuff. But first, we are going to start off with the NFC East champion Dallas Cowboys, who clinched their first playoff berth and first NFC East title since 2009. After losing in the NFC East championship game in Week 17 3 years straight to three different teams, they finally got redemption. They won the division. They are standing at 11-4. And I am a Giant fan through and through. I hate the Cowboys. But I'm going to be rooting for Tony Romo. I'm not going to be necessarily rooting for them to win. I don't want the Cowboys to win the Super Bowl because watching them lose is a highlight of my day. But I'm a huge fan of Tony Romo. I think the guy is a great quarterback. I think he gets unfairly criticized. I mean, yes, the guy is notorious for costly interceptions. He's notorious for losing 3 straight NFC East championships. He's notorious for that botched snap against Seattle in the playoffs. He's a choker. That's what he's known for. That's why he gets ripped on all the time. When you take a look at his stats this year and even in years past, I mean, the guy is a really solid quarterback. I remember when, was it Amani Toomer? It was an old Giants receiver a couple years ago. And he said that Tony Romo was the best quarterback in the NFC East. And I think it was either the year the Giants won the Super Bowl or the year after the Giants won the Super Bowl. I was like, how can you say that about Tony Romo when Eli Manning is in this division? And you look at the stats, and it's a toss-up. And right now, I give it to Tony Romo. Yes, Eli has 2 Super Bowls under his belt. He was clutch when the Giants needed him to be clutch. He had that magical season in 2011 where he almost threw for 5,000 yards. He won the Super Bowl that year. He was absolutely incredible. But if you think that Eli is an elite quarterback, if you thought he ever was one, he never was. He had one elite season, but you can't be elite in 1 year. That's my opinion. But again, Tony Romo is a great quarterback. The thing that I love and respect the most about Romo is how he extends plays so well. Look at the win against Seattle and that bomb to Terrence Williams where that was the catch of the year up until Odell Beckham Jr. Tony Romo evaded like 3 sacks on that play. And granted, the Cowboys' offensive line has been incredible this year. They're the sole reason why DeMarco Murray has run for over 1,700 yards. I mean, that's what Tony Romo does best. He extends the play, and sometimes it doesn't work out, but he evades sacks. He knows how to escape pressure. He just knows what to do. He's collective. He's calm in that kind of situation, and sometimes it works out for him. And that's what I love most about Romo. And I think that since he gets criticized so much, people don't see that about him. The Cowboys were supposed to be one of the worst teams in the league, probably the worst team in the division. They were supposed to be the laughingstock of the NFL. Their defensive line was a joke. You had questions regarding Tony Romo. No one knew DeMarco Murray was going to be the leading rusher. Dez Bryant is Dez Bryant. He's crazy. But everyone said that this team was 5-11, 6-10. And they are 11-4. They play the Redskins next week in Washington. Looking at 12-4. They won the division. I think they have a chance of getting a first-round bye. Maybe, I'm not sure. But they shut a lot of people up. Everyone was expecting somewhere between 6-10 and 8-8. And they lost their first game. I forgot who it was against, but they started off 0-1. And they won. And then they won. And then they won. And then they won. And then they beat Seattle at Seattle. And I think that's when everyone started saying, okay, the Cowboys are the real deal. They are going to do something. And if I remember correctly, they started out, 6-1, 7-1, and they lost a couple in a row. And everyone was saying, oh, here come the Cowboys. They're going to choke. Nope. They kept they were calm, cool, and collective. And they won their division. I'll be rooting for Tony Romo. I mean, I want him to do well. Let's take a look at his stats for this year. 3,400 yards, which isn't a lot, but, it's whatever. It's fine. 32 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Tom Brady has more. Passer rating of 114. He's been sacked 29 times. He's throwing for 243 yards a game. Look at this. Completion percentage, over 70%. Over 70%. 4 guys have finished the year over 70%. And you're going to tell me that a guy like Eli is better than Tony Romo? Granted, Eli's having a great year. I think he's doing a lot better this year than he was last year. But Eli is too up and down. He either throws for 30 interceptions or he throws for 40 touchdowns. It's one of the two. He's too all over the place. Romo is consistent. Last year, 3,800 yards. How many interceptions did he have last year? 10 interceptions last year. 31 touchdowns. 96 passer rating. 64% of his passes. The year before that, 4,900 yards. 65% of his passes. 19 interceptions, a lot, but 28 touchdowns. I mean, the guy's consistent. The guy has never thrown for 20 interceptions in his career. His career high is 19. He did it twice. Once in 2007, once in 2012. Everything else, 7, 9, 8, 10, 10. He's consistent. And this is by far his best year ever. By far. Yes, he's had some 4,000 passing yard seasons. But he's completing 70% of his passes. He's thrown only 8 interceptions. Tom Brady has more. I'm almost positive Payton is around that area. Tony Romo is doing phenomenal. 34 years old, and he's having a career season. Call me crazy, but Tony Romo should be in MVP talks. I mean, granted, the guy has an insane offensive line. He has Dez Bryant. He has DeMarco Murray. But you can't let these numbers slip by you. 32-8, 29 sacks, 114 passer rating, 70% of his passes. He's missed 1 game. He's having a great year, and he gets unfairly criticized. Tony Romo is the kind of guy where in the first round of the playoffs, he will throw for 400 yards, he'll have 5 touchdowns, and he'll throw 1 interception late in the game, and everyone is going to say, oh my God, Tony Romo, he's terrible. Why haven't the Cowboys tried to trade him, blah, blah, blah. That's how the guy is. He's one of the most targeted athletes in sports. He is. I won't be rooting for the Cowboys. I hate the Cowboys. But I want Tony Romo to do something. I know you Giant fans out there are listening to this and like, what is this guy saying? I like Romo. I mean, I like him. I don't think the Cowboys are going to do much in the playoffs. They'll make it to the divisional round at best. Who will they be playing? They can either play. They really can play anyone at this point because I still think they have a shot at getting a first round bye. They can play the Packers, whoever. We have no idea. But no matter who they play, they're gonna have a tough time. Divisional round at best. Wouldn't be too surprised if they made it to the NFC Championship, but that's still Packers Seahawks in my mind, unless if the way the bracket falls into place, then they have to play each other in the divisional round. But that's just me. I think the Cowboys are going to lose in the divisional round. I'm hoping Romo does well, and that's it. Speaking of playoffs, the NFC South champion will be under 500. The NFC South champion will probably be 7-9. There's a chance for it to be 6-8-2. And I was talking about this yesterday. I saw on SportsCenter with the Panthers win yesterday, that officially eliminated the Saints from the playoffs. And I thought to myself, the Saints can go 7-9. The Panthers can go 6-8-2, and the Panthers would make the playoffs over the Saints. That didn't make sense to me. I mean, yes, the Panthers have less losses, but they also have less wins. But win percentage-wise, a tie counts as a half a win, half a loss. So therefore, they would have the same win percentage, and the Panthers have the tiebreaker over the Saints. That kicked out the Saints. So next week's game is Panthers at Falcons. Falcons are 6-9, and the Panthers are 6-8-1. I'm going to give this one to the Falcons. I mean, they haven't been a good team at all. But especially when they play in Atlanta, they have that offense. They have Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Roddy White, Harry Douglas. They have that offense where Matt Ryan can throw for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns like that. Look at opening day. First week against the Saints in Atlanta. That was the Matt Ryan I expected all year. That's why I picked him in 3 of my fantasy leagues. But sure enough, he obviously didn't perform that well. But again, this is the offense where they haven't been all that great, but they can go off. Look at the game against the Bucs in, week 3, I think? It was earlier in the year. And I don't think this Panthers D, especially this year, can stop the potential Falcons offense in Atlanta. I don't think it's possible. I'm going to go 35-17 Falcons. I don't know, just pulling numbers out of my head. A 6-8-2 team and a 7-9 team can make the playoffs. The Eagles can finish 10-6, and they will miss the playoffs. A lot of people are calling for a rule change, saying how there's no possible way a team under 500 can make the playoffs, while you have a 10-6 team miss it. The Eagles could finish. They could have finished 11-5, and they still would have missed the playoffs. There are way too many pros and cons about a under 500 team missing the playoffs. It's your division. You win the division. You're in the playoffs. Look at it this way. The Giants won the division at 9-7 in 2011. They won the Super Bowl that year. The year before that, the Giants finished 10-6. They missed the playoffs. The Seahawks beat the Saints at 7-9. So anything can happen. If you're in the playoffs, you can win the Super Bowl. If the Falcons win the Super Bowl or the Panthers win the Super Bowl, are they the best team in the league? I don't think so. Were the Giants the best team in the league both years they won the Super Bowl? I don't think so. But I mean, you're only in the division because of where you're playing. I mean, if the Giants if the Giants were played in South Carolina, they would be in the NFC South. They would be tied for first. They would actually be in first place because they beat Atlanta, I think. Yeah, they would actually be in first place in the division. So, I mean, and then you have the situation where good teams miss the playoffs. Look at the NBA. I mean, they were who was the 8th seed? The Hawks. They were like 38-44. The Suns missed the playoffs in the West. They had 47 wins last year. So there's too much to. What are they going to do? Like, unless if you completely get rid of division standings and just do the top 6, but what's the point of having divisions then? The point of divisions is that you have a team from each division come out and play. I've heard that the NFC South champions should make the playoffs but not be able to play at home. That's tough. I mean, it is really weird that the NFC South champion will finish under 500, and the rest of the teams in the NFC right now are 11-4. So a potential 11-5, 12-4 team will have to play on the road. That is where I don't think it makes too much sense. Yes, you won the division, you make the playoffs. But there's a team better than you that's playing on the road. I think if the NFL should change anything, it should be that. Have all the division winners make the playoffs, but seed them in based on their record. Because right now the NFC South champion is in the 4 slot. The last 3 years, the NFC East champion was in the 4 slot also. So right now, I think it's okay. I'm not necessarily complaining, but if the NFL wanted to change it, that's what they should do. The best team to not make the playoffs this year is the Eagles. They can either be 9-7 or 10-6. And again, they could have been 11-5 and still missed it. NFC stacked. Besides the NFC South, every team in the playoffs is 11-4 right now. The team not 11-4, but apparently they don't know how to lose anymore, is the New York Giants. They're 6-9. They're on a 3-game win streak. What happened? What happened? Did they decide all of a sudden that maybe they can magically find their way into the playoffs? They don't know how to lose. I mean, granted, they played the Titans, they played the Rams, and they played the Redskins. And with that loss to the Jaguars, they're 6-9. They could be 7-8 right now, but they're not. But anyway, why do they keep winning? The players, I don't think any player ever wants to tank. But right now, I wouldn't be opposed to it for the Giants. I mean, the only exception to a mid-round pick, I mean, the Giants are not going to get a top 5 pick anymore. They might not even get top 10. They might get somewhere between 10 and 15. They had 12 last year. And you say to yourself, oh my God, why didn't the Giants tank? They could have had a top 5 pick. They could have had Amari Cooper, blah, blah, blah. They had a mid-round pick last year. Guess who it was? Odell Beckham Jr., who I'll get into in a minute. There's been tons of proof that first-round picks don't mean much to your team in the future. And there have been times where 6th-round picks and 7th-round picks mean the world to your team. Tom Brady. He was a late 6th-round pick. People call him the best quarterback of all time. There have been number 1 picks who play 3 games in the NFL or the NBA or whatever, and they don't even see another down after 2-3 years. But going back to Odell Beckham Jr., the guy was 12th overall. I'm going to be completely honest. When the Giants picked Odell Beckham Jr., I was going insane. I was like, why are the Giants picking this guy? The Giants don't pick on their team needs. They run the draft based on who is the best on their board. That's why they picked Odell Beckham Jr., and he has not disappointed. This guy, my vote for Rookie of the Year was Mike Evans. I changed my mind yesterday. Odell Beckham Jr. is a top 5 wide receiver in the National Football League right now. I think he is top 5. Definitely top 10. The guy is absurd. He is absurd. He's a freak athlete through and through. He has lightning speed. That 80-yard touchdown yesterday, he was burning the Rams. He burned them. He was in the end zone in 5 seconds, it felt like. The guy is fast. The guy can jump. The guy's hands are humongous. He catches anything in sight. The guy has some flair about him. And when Victor Cruz comes back next year and this offensive line hopefully improves, watch out for the Giants next year because Cruz and Beckham are going to be very, very dangerous. Odell Beckham Jr. is the only reason why I watch the Giants. Because I'm afraid that if I don't watch the Giants, I'm going to miss an insane catch by Odell. I mean, the guy is so exciting to watch. There's not a flaw about him. Everything about his game is what a wide receiver wants. Fast, great route runner, gets through tons of illegal contact, and he makes the catch. One-handed, two-handed, one-fingered. It's unbelievable. The guy will catch anything. Next year for fantasy, I'm picking him in all my leagues. The guy's a top 5 receiver. I love watching this guy play. And I'm very excited to see what else he has in store. Because this is his rookie year. He has 11 touchdowns. He missed the first 4 or 5 games. Missed for the first 4 games. And he leads the NFL rookies in touchdowns. I think he leads them in receiving yards. The guy's a flat-out animal. He's a flat-out animal. And I'm really excited to see what else he has in store. So Week 16 ends tonight with the Broncos and Bengals. So with that being said, let's take a quick look at Week 17 and the AFC playoff picture. There is a lot to be decided. Right now, the Patriots have the 1 seed, the Broncos have the 2 seed. Bengals, Colts, Steelers, Chargers are 3, 4, 5, 6 respectively. Still technically alive are the Ravens at 9-6, the Texans at 8-7, and the Chiefs at 8-7. The games that really matter for Week 17, the Chargers and the Chiefs. The Chargers are winning in. The Chiefs need a win and a lot of help. They have to beat the Chargers. They need the Ravens to lose, and they need the Texans to lose. If the Ravens or Texans win or they lose, they're out. And again, the Chargers are winning in. Bengals at Steelers. Both teams clinched the playoff spot already, but this will decide who wins the AFC North. The loser will play in the They will be either a 5 or a 6 seed, so they will play on the road. Browns and Ravens. The Ravens need a win and a Chargers loss to the Chiefs to get into the postseason. Jaguars and Texans. Houston needs a win and both the Chargers and Ravens loss to get into the playoffs, so they need a lot of help. Bills and Patriots. Patriots win. They get home field throughout. Denver needs to win tonight and next week and have the Patriots lose next week to get home field throughout. But a win tonight can clinch them a first-round bye. Both the Patriots and the Broncos have the first-round bye. Just we don't know who will have home field throughout. I think the Chiefs are out solely because I think the Texans are going to beat the Jaguars. And again, the Texans win automatically kicks out the Chiefs. The Chiefs need a win and a lot of help. I think the Chargers are going to lose to the Chiefs. I think the Ravens are going to beat the Browns. Therefore, I think the Ravens are going to get that last spot. I think the Steelers are going to win the AFC North. With the Ravens, with my thinking that the Ravens are going to win, that means the Texans will be eliminated. I think the Patriots are going to lock up home field. They just need a win against Buffalo. That should be easy. Denver's probably going to kill Oakland, but that won't be enough because they need the Patriots to lose in order to get home field throughout. So I think it will be Patriots, Broncos, Steelers and Colts at the 3 and 4. I don't know who has a tiebreaker, but I think they're going to take the 3 and the 4. The 5 and 6, I think, are going to be the Bengals and the Bengals at the 5 and the Ravens at the 6. Moving on to the NFC playoff picture. Right now we have the Seahawks at the 1 with their win against Arizona last night. Detroit's at the 2. Cowboys 3rd, Panthers 4th, the Packers are 5th, and the Cardinals are in 6th. The Cardinals just went from being the first place team to the 6th place team with their loss last night. Obviously, Panthers against the Falcons, it's winning in, losing out. That'll be the NFC South championship game. Lions and Packers is the NFC North championship game. So the winner of that game will get a first-round bye. The loser can face the Cowboys if the Cardinals beat the 49ers in the first round. Seattle clinches home field advantage throughout with a win against the Rams. I think that will happen. The Cardinals need a win and a Seahawks loss to win the NFC West. They can still get home field throughout. I think they can get home field throughout with a win, a Seahawks loss, and they might need a Cowboys loss also. I don't know. I'm not a huge savant. I'm just reading off of what's in front of me right now. A couple teams can get home field, I'm pretty sure. But with that being said, I think the Seahawks are a lock. I think the Packers are going to beat the Lions. Cowboys are locked in at the 3. The NFC South is locked in at the 4. With, I think, the Lions losing, they will move to either the 5 or the 6. And the Cardinals are at the 49ers. The Niners are going to want to play spoiler to a point, but I think the Cardinals can stop Kaepernick. I'm going to go with a W for the Cardinals. So that means the Cardinals will take over the 5 at 12 and 4. The Lions will take the 6 at 11 and 5. Once the seedings are all said and done after next week, I'll give you guys my NFL playoff predictions. Beginning of the year, I had the Seahawks repeating. And now that a win locks up that home field throughout, I think it's very possible. I think right now the Seahawks or the Packers will win the Super Bowl. I think they will play the Patriots. I think that whoever gets home field between the Seahawks and the Packers will win the Super Bowl. But again, after Week 17, I will get more in depth into that. Maybe I'll change my mind. I'm not sure, but we'll see. All right, football talk done. Moving on to baseball. A lot more moves since my last episode. We're going to start with the New York Yankees. They re-signed Chase Headley to 4 years, so that means he will definitely be playing third base for them. They don't want A-Rod at third. They said that A-Rod is a full-time DH. They said if they were going to get Headley back, he would be their full-time third baseman. What I didn't like is that they got rid of Martin Prado. When they got Headley, I was certain that Prado was going to play probably second base or right field, depending on what they were going to do with A-Rod and Beltran in the DH. But Prado was going to be in that lineup. And if anything ever happened to Headley, they were probably going to move Prado to third and then put Ref Snyder or Pereira at second base. But they got rid of Prado, and David Phelps, a guy who came up big for them last year, for this Eovaldi guy who struggles late in the season, and Garrett Jones, who's a solid ball player, but I take Prado over him. I didn't like this move. I liked Prado. When he was with the Yankees, he batted close to 300. He was clutch for the Yankees. When the Yankees needed him, he was due. He came up to the plate big time, no pun intended. But he was good with the Yanks. I'm not sure why they did this. They're saving money. He was getting paid $11 million. But why? I mean, Prado's worth that $11 million, I think. And now, I'll get into their rotation later, but now there are a lot of question marks. They're set on young guys, and I don't like it. Again, I'll get into that later. But now that Prado's gone, are they taking the risk with A-Rod being the backup third baseman? Possibly, unless if they call someone up or they move Ref Center or Pereira to third base if anything ever happens to Headley. But I don't care what the Yankees do. I want A-Rod in that lineup. Whether he's a third baseman, whether he's playing first, whether he's a DH, I don't care where he's playing. I want him in the lineup. I don't want the Yankees to be paying this guy $21 million and have him on the bench. I get that Cashman is saying that he's not guaranteed any playing time. But when you pay the guy $21 million this year and he's getting more as the years go by, I think you have to put this guy on the field. You have to put him in the lineup card. Unless the guy is awful and he can't even hit his own weight, then take him out. But other than that, I think you have to put in A-Rod. I'm not expecting a 220 season. I'm expecting somewhere around what Jeter did last year. Probably 250-ish, 260-ish. And about 20 home runs, maybe 80 or so RBIs. That'll be fine with me. But again, $21 million going right to the bench, I don't think that is a good idea. Now that Prado's gone, you assume Pereira or Ref Snyder are competing for second base. I personally like Ref Snyder. I wouldn't complain with Pereira. I mean, the guy did play for the big league club last year, but Ref Snyder has a major league bat. He's batting .318 in AAA. He has a pretty solid glove. I like Ref Snyder, and I do like what the Yankees are doing. I like how they're starting to go young again. I like how they have figured out that old vets are not the key to success anymore, because CeCe's getting old, Teixeira's getting old, Jeter's gone, A-Rod's going to be 40, Ichiro's gone. He was 41, 42. I like what they're doing. They're changing their system a lot. It's going to take some getting used to, but I like it. I'm assuming that the Yankees, at least their starting lineup, is set. They're probably going to make some moves in the bullpen. They're probably going to make some moves with backups. And unless if they get Tulowitzki out of nowhere, which I don't think they should do. I'll get into that later also. And I don't think they're going to because of Gregorius. I think their starting lineup is pretty much set This is what I would do if I'm Girardi. Ellsbury, Gregorius, McCann, Beltran in right, Teixeira, A-Rod at DH, Headley at third, Ref Snyder at second, Gardner in left. But the Yankees are not going to do that. They don't want A-Rod. They want A-Rod on the bench. Gardner never bats last. I like having a leadoff guy batting ninth. I think it gives you an extra spike at the end of the lineup. But for some reason, the Yankees don't do that. So here's what I think Girardi will do. Ellsbury, Gregorius, McCann, Beltran at DH, Teixeira, Headley at third, Gardner in left, Chris Young in right, Ref Snyder at second. I wouldn't complain too much about this, but again, I don't want $21 million going right to the bench. Speaking of a lot of money, the Yankees have said that they're probably out on Scherzer. They're set on young guys. They got this Eovaldi guy who can overpower people. He's not that great late in the year, but look at his first half numbers with Miami last year. He has the potential to be good. I think if the Yankees limit his innings, I think that this guy can succeed with the Yankees. And they re-signed Capuano, which is, I think, a terrible deal. $5 million for a fifth starter. They're going to get Nova back in May, June. So depending on if Tanaka or CC or Pineda get hurt, Capuano's probably going to get kicked out of the rotation. They're probably going to kick out either Eovaldi or Capuano, whoever's doing worse, to bring Nova back into the rotation. Right now, it's Tanaka, Pineda, CC, Eovaldi, Capuano. If they take out Capuano, they're putting $5 million on the bench. So I think that's just a stupid signing. But they want to save $200 million, which is a good idea. I don't think they need Scherzer. I think that if Tanaka, Pineda, and CC stay healthy, which I don't think will happen, I think Tanaka's going to need surgery by May. But my fingers are crossed. I'm hoping he stays healthy. I think that their rotation is okay, and when Nova comes back, they have 4 good starters, and you probably leave in Eovaldi. I mean, this isn't the Yankees of 5-10 years ago anymore. They're working the young guys. They're making a lot of moves, and they're not going into any sort of sabermetric system, but they're adopting it to an extent. And I'm a fan of it. Here's something that might seem ridiculous, but I think the Mets are going to be better than the Yankees this year. If they get Tulo, definitely. With or without Tulowitzki, I think the Mets are a 500 team this year. They got Kadire, who before he got hurt was, I think, leading the league in average. I mean, the Mets just want to make the postseason now. Kadire is not a long-term solution. They signed Kadire to a 2-year deal, but he has the bat to hit home runs at Citi Field, especially with the fences moving in this year. The guy hits for contact. He's a 300 hitter when he's healthy. I thought this was a great signing by the Mets, and you assume David Wright is not going to do what he did last year. He was pretty terrible. They got Harvey back. They won 79 games last year without Harvey, without Kadire, with a struggling David Wright, and without Troy Tulowitzki. I think that if they get Tulowitzki, they will win 85, 90 games this year. But the only problem with getting Tulowitzki is that they will have to get rid of a lot. Probably Syndergaard, and don't be surprised if the Mets are idiots and get rid of Harvey. But the Mets are already struggling with money. Tulowitzki's owed $106 million over the course of either 5 or 6 years. I think it's 6. If they get Tulowitzki, they have no chance of building this franchise whatsoever. So if they get Tulowitzki, they'll make the postseason for 2-3 years. After Tulowitzki's tenure with the Mets, they're going to stink again, because they're not going to be able to build this franchise around Tulowitzki. It's they get Tulowitzki, and they have the same team for 5 years. And on top of that, look at Tulowitzki's numbers away from Coors Field in Denver. I think he bats like 278 on the road, and at Coors Field he bats like 330 something. That's why I didn't want the Yankees to get him. I didn't think he would. I don't like his road numbers, and I think the Yankees would have had to get rid of Betances, probably Gardner, and probably one of their best probably their best shortstop in the minor leagues. If they got Tulowitzki, yeah, I would have been happy. But long term, I don't think it was the right idea. But whether or not the Mets get Tulowitzki, they have a solid chance of being a 500 team this year. They have a really good chance of being better than the Yankees. Would I be surprised if the Yankees finish with a better record than the Mets? No. But would I be surprised if the Mets finish with a better record than the Yankees? Definitely not. I think the Mets are a threat. Threat is a strong word. But the NL East is not as dominant like it was. The Nationals, to me, are still the favorites. But the Marlins improved, which I'll get into. The Mets improved. The NL East is going to be a good division to watch this year. I think the NL West is going to be a good division to watch this year also. The Padres made a lot of moves. Matt Kemp, Will Myers, who they might trade for Cole Hamels, Derek Norris, Justin Upton, Will Middlebrooks. That is scary. Matt Kemp, former 310, 320 hitter. He can hit for 310, 320. He can get 300 home runs for you. He can get 100 RBIs for you. Derek Norris, all-star catcher. Justin Upton, again, can hit for 30 home runs, 100 RBIs. His average needs to go up a little bit, but if you need him to, he will hit the long ball. Will Middlebrooks, very versatile player, solid infielder, and I think he can play basically anywhere out in the field. Will Myers, great bat, hits for power. His average can go up also, but I think he's a great fielder. I loved him when he was on Tampa Bay. I was scared of him when he played the Yankees. I really like what they're doing. I don't think they're a huge favorite in the NL West, but that is a solid lineup. They made some great additions. Their pitching is still a big question, but right now their offense is an offense from 10, 15 years ago. They're going to try to win games 6-5, 7-6, 5-4. They're going to try to get a high-powered offense, and they're going to risk pitching and defense. But if they're winning, they're winning. That's all that matters. Same thing with the Marlins. And they added pitching. They got Matt Latos. They got D. Gordon. They got Martin Prado. They got Michael Morse. They got Jose Fernandez back next year. They had 77 wins without those guys and a late season injury to Giancarlo Stanton. Like I said before, the NL East can go anywhere, and I think the Nats are the favorites. But the Mets and Marlins improved. The Marlins made some solid, good moves. I think they have a lot of chemistry now. They're going to take a little while to get used to. They're going to take a while to get used to playing with each other, but by the time May comes, I think Giancarlo and Fernandez are going to start to lead this team and say, hey, we have a chance to do something good. Let's start winning baseball games. Now, the thing that I didn't understand while it was happening was what the Oakland A's were doing. They got rid of everyone. They got rid of Donaldson, Norris, Samardzija, a bunch of people. But I saw a stat. They got 12 new guys. 11 of them are under the age of 25. This is Moneyball round 2. Billy Beane is doing exactly what he did years ago. They're getting young guys who he is hoping will grow a lot of chemistry together. Look at the Kansas City Royals last year. They were not the best team in the AL. If they won the World Series, they were not the best team in the major leagues. But they had a ton of chemistry. When you have chemistry, you're going to win games no matter what the sport is. And that's what Oakland is trying to do all over again. When you get a bunch of young guys together, on paper, it does not look good. But I'm telling you, don't be surprised if Oakland makes some sort of miraculous comeback late in the year. No, they're not going to have another 20-game win streak like 2002, but they can get a late season push with that chemistry. I think it's definitely possible. All right, that is going to do it for the 14th episode of this podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, have a safe, happy, healthy holiday. Be grateful for what you have. Broncos, Bengals tonight, Monday Night Football. It's not goodbye. See you later. Take care, everybody.